10 years ago, one of his kind stalked and eliminated an elite special forces crew in Central America. There were 2 survivors. They indicated that when trapped, the creature activated a self-destruct device that destroyed enough rainforest to cover 300 city blocks. Remarkable weaponry. That's right, Lieutenant. Otherworld life forms.
Huh?
A f***ing alien.
Look, Badway, I'm not trying to take sides here, but I think Lieutenant Mike Harrigan should probably listen to Gary Busey here, because I don't think he knows what he's actually talking about or dealing with.
I don't think he was listening at all when he was trying to explain to him that there was an alien.
What?
There's a what? There's a huh? There's a what?
I don't think he knows what he's dealing with, and I think Gary Busey, it's like jurisdiction for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, there's just dead bodies strung up by their legs, skinned, filleted. It's normal stuff in 1997 Los Angeles.
I thought that was just the Jamaican gang or whatever it was, right?
It was Screwface. Yeah, it must have been a Screwface situation.
Rituals. Where's Steven Seagal when you need him? Well, welcome back to episode 113 of the Last Row podcast. This is part 2 of Predator Month, if you haven't figured that out.
What?
If you're new to the show and you don't know what the Predator is, go back to thelastrowpodcast.com, check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, anywhere you can get your podcasts, and look up episode 112, which was the first part of our Predator month. Send us an email, thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of Predator month so far, and tweet at us at The Last Row Pod, Facebook, everywhere you go. Check us out. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us the 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Podchaser. Thanks to everyone that left one.
I'm going to be honest, people. It's been a few weeks since we've gotten a new 5-star review.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, challenge you guys. Tell somebody.
Yeah.
Hey, Last Row Podcast. Check them out. You know what? Don't check them out, but just leave them a 5-star review. Can we get one new one this week? Just one.
What did we do? 50 for the split.
50 for the split. Should
we give people an incentive for 100? Like, I don't know. We got to try to get to 100, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
We'll take suggestions. Let us know what you want us to do for the for the 100th review, the Last Row Podcast @gmail.com. Send us an email and let us know. But anyway, welcome back, Badway. Here we are.
Here we are for The Predator Part 2, coming out November 21st, 1990. Drew, did you know that this movie existed in 1990?
I don't think so. I saw it on HBO at my grandmother's house, like on her hot box, I think.
Yeah. It might have been the year 2000 before I even realized that Predator 2 was an actual thing. Like I don't think I knew the sequel existed.
I saw it in the 90s for sure, because I remember my cousin and I used to watch like movies at my grandmother's house, watching HBO and all the paid channels. And this is a very 90s movie, even though it's like right on the cusp. But I remember liking this as a kid, especially that scene at the end.
It's more 91 than 89, that's for sure.
I agree with that. It straddles the decade there.
With a runtime of 1 hour and 48 minutes.
That's just right.
It's about right.
I like it.
1 more minute higher than the Predator. So
one
it's
better.
One longer. One better, one longer.
Too.
As we'll get into, though, a lower body count, which is unacceptable for a sequel. Action sci-fi genre, of course, directed by our boy Stephen Hawkins.
Hopkins.
No, do you know what Stephen Hopkins is famous for?
You know what? I actually do.
I always ask you and you never know, and now you know?
I looked this up because I know you ask me every week, so I said, you know what? I said to myself, Drew, you better do some IMDb research here just to help Badway out.
You hunted for a fake factoid?
I hunted for...
Is that what you did?
This is take it for what you will, Badway, but I'm going to hit you up with some truth bombs here. So Did you know that Stephen Hopkins, don't call him Hawkins, was given the task of directing Predator 2 after greatly impressing the studio when directing, guess what? A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child from 1989.
Sure. The best one, yeah, of course.
So he had been given just 4 weeks to shoot and further 4 weeks to edit the film. That meant that he had to shoot on one stage while the crew dressed the other, allowing them to shoot almost continually.
Jeez. I mean, did they pay him in like food or something? Like, geez.
They paid him in Predator human skulls. That's what they paid him in.
They got him on the cheap. Chicken bones from King Wolf, or what's the name? King Willie.
King Willie. What I don't understand is, like, I don't think that he impressed them. I think they were like, we need a guy that's going to come in here and do what we say. 4 weeks to shoot.
Yeah,
we need someone that's going to try to get their break.
They were scrambling, and they needed a yes man who was desperate to make his name. That's
not
what they
to
did.
Take anything away from Hopkins. I don't know.
No.
I actually don't know what else he did. You probably do.
Yeah, and I think for as uneven as this movie is, I mean, I don't think the directing necessarily is a problem.
I liked it.
I thought there were some really interesting choices, like for the good.
I agree with you.
And yeah, I didn't have any. This guy has not done much, so I didn't have anything for him. The only thing that us, old school fans of Drew and Badway, the Bauer Hour, our old podcast. I mean, this guy directed a bunch of 24 episodes.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Did. Yes, he did.
What season did they say?
It just said 2002. So I'm thinking that's like season 2 or 3. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one in the heyday of 24.
Yep. So Predator 2 IMDb 6.3 out of 10. Probably about right.
Too low.
No, it's about right. If anything, too high, but probably right.
Too low.
Rotten Tomato 32%.
Way too low. Come on.
That's too
low.
Too low. It's too low. Metacritic 46%.
Too low.
Yeah, it should be like 52.
Too low.
52. Yeah. Letterboxd 2.9 out of 5.
Too low. Come on.
Right. That's about right. Come on.
For Letterboxd, too low.
Yeah. 56,000 plus votes. So what happened in Predator 2? Los Angeles is enduring a heat wave and a crime wave. The rare double wave.
The double wave.
Have you ever seen it? I've never seen it.
Not a heat and a crime wave at the same time, man.
Jeez.
Usually there's too much sweat. The guns are falling out of their hands.
Yeah, man. So the pressure on police officer Michael Harrigan, a.k.a. Danny Glover. And by the way, I'm going to call Danny Glover Donald Glover. Like, I'm going to mix those names up all day.
And Murtaugh?
So please bear with me if I call him Murtaugh, Danny, or Donald. You know who I mean. To solve a strange string of murders is mounting. Harrigan thinks the culprit can be found among the warring gangs and drug cartels, but FBI Special Agent Peter Keyes, Gary Busey, knows the horrible truth. The killer is a fearsome extraterrestrial with keen hunting abilities that include superior night vision and the power to make itself invisible.
I got a lot of problems with this.
Rated R.
I got a lot of problems with this. It's not really night vision. It's infrared vision. So,
Yeah, he can night vision during the day, buddy.
Right.
Synopsis writer.
That. And so are they saying that the pressure is on him to solve the murders because of also the heat wave? Because it's a double heat wave and crime wave, so the pressure's on.
People are hot and scared, all right?
They're hot and bothered?
Did you ever hear Son of Sam, the summer of 69 or whatever the hell it was? People were hot and scared, and it was a thing.
They're hot and bothered.
Maybe I'm out of line by saying this, but the summer of Sam wouldn't have been so bad if it was like the fall.
It's a little cooler?
If he started killing people when it was a little cooler out,
it would have
been less scary, I think.
Would it be? But then you got Halloween there.
But you can't say the fall of Sam. That implies that he is already gone.
He fell away.
The fall of Sam. Autumn of Sam? Well,
maybe the fall was it. So it was the summer of Sam and the fall of Sam, right? In the fall, he fell.
The football weather of Sam.
Oh my God! You know what? And for once, it's not 2 a.m. right now, so we got to tell people that this is the first time.
We're actually insane. It's not just late hours. We're just plain insane.
Oh my God! All right, let's go with the taglines. There's some good ones here. I'll say this. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's some good ones.
Of that. Yeah.
All right, ready?
You don't get to judge it. I judge it.
Predator 2: pull over, park, and pray.
Was there an actual colon?
No, I just made it up. But,
okay, well,
I like to say that.
Docking at a point, man.
Put it at the bottom of the poster. So envision the poster, then you see this. Because we even posted the picture for Predator Month.
But I don't even get it. Like, we're in a car? I don't understand.
I don't really get it either. I guess it's hot out, right? So it's a heat wave. Your car overheated. Pull over and pray.
I'm going to pull over and park, then the AC's off. Then what?
Yeah. This next one makes zero sense to me. So it's probably just an instant murk. But lions, tigers, bears, oh my.
That didn't even sound like a real one. That
doesn't make sense.
That sounds like an IMDb fake.
Isn't that from like Wizard of Oz or something?
That's like, that's just next one, please.
All right, Predator 2. He's in town with a few days to kill.
Now we're talking.
Dude,
now
we're
talking. I like it.
That's like all-timer. And when we posted the poster for this, that was like, man, this is like a spoiler for like maybe best tagline of the whole 113 episodes we've done here.
Pretty damn good.
All right, ready? Predator 2, silent, invisible, invincible, the ultimate hunter, this time, Los Angeles, 1997.
When his damn biography is too many.
Too much.
Too many things.
Too long.
List 3 things maximum.
Too long.
He's not invincible. He's not invincible. Cut it out.
Isn't. Clearly he isn't. He died.
Yeah.
And
he bleeds instantly.
Hunting season opens again.
Okay.
All right. The ultimate hunter.
Yeah, bland. Wasn't it the Ultimate Warrior, the first one?
I think so.
Yeah.
This time he's coming to a different kind of jungle. They should have said, comma, a concrete jungle.
A concrete jungle, the urban jungle. Yeah, I kind of like it. Yeah, it needed a little tweak, but not bad.
Too short.
Yeah.
Too low. This time, Los Angeles, 1997.
Look out.
Yeah, they needed that. He's coming. I'm here for you.
Too vague.
He's in town with a few days to kill, man. Add that to the Hall of Fame.
Clearly, all-time tagline. He's in town for a few days to kill.
What do you think of the financials for this? So $20 to $30 million budget, which is actually pretty high for 1990. I feel for some of these types of movies. I know there's special effects, but it had a return of 57.1 cumulative worldwide gross estimated. Yeah. Like not kind of a flop.
No, well, I mean, it made money.
But not what they would have expected, right? The first one was great.
Yeah, but the way that people talk about the second one, or the lack of speaking about it, it's almost forgotten, right?
True.
Or the fact that I didn't know it existed for 10 years of my life, right? I would have thought it would have been, a money loser, right?
True.
So
I don't know what the marketing budget was, I guess, but I mean, fair enough.
But I think for an R-rated movie, a sequel not promising Arnold to return, I think it's, I think making money is a win here.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into that.
Because
we'll get into that later. Hashtag we'll get to that later. I have some other IMDb facts for you.
Some detailed files on that.
What about the awards? And this one's interesting. So it was nominated for 3 Saturn Awards in 92, which was the 18th annual Saturn Awards. And it was weird because it was like mixed with some years, but just take me for my word. I saw it on Wikipedia. There was 3 awards that it was nominated for. It was Best Science Fiction Film, Best Makeup, and Best Special Effects. And it did not win any of these. I'll come back to it in a second. It was also nominated for Australian Cinematographer Society Award. It won for Cinematographer of the Year in 91, Peter Levy. And then Fantasporto, which is an International Fantasy Film Award, it was also nominated for Best Film, and Stephen Hopkins was a nominee. But let me tell you about the Saturn Awards, man. Let me tell you about this. So it lost Best Special Effects, and I'll tell you who else it was up against and then who it lost to. So Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Okay.
This was in it, Predator 2, right? A movie called Warlock. The Rocketeer.
Yeah. Warlock had some crazy effects.
I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
Yeah.
And then Frankenstein Unbound. So these were all nominees, and they all lost to a little-known movie called Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Oh, tough crowd. Tough.
And those special effects still look good. So
yeah,
it's hard to argue with that.
Dude, let me tell you, though. I mean, I think these special effects held up in Predator 2. And about them winning the Cinematographer of the Year, I think the cinematography was the movie's biggest strength.
I agree.
I think it was shot. Great. It was shot very well, shot very beautifully.
Yeah.
And so I totally get that. I'm glad they got some recognition for it.
I thought it looked really, really good, and the visuals of this and just the aesthetics of it were great. I thought personally, and so the other one that it was a Best Makeup, right? So it lost. So here's the other nominees. So a movie called Body Parts, Nothing But Trouble, Terminator 2 was also in this.
Oh.
Night of the Living Dead, which I'm surprised that didn't win. And it actually lost to The Silence of the Lambs, which is interesting.
Dude, Nothing But Trouble is a batshit crazy movie.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. It's like a horror-ish comedy.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
Really dark comedy. I think Chevy Chase is in it, among others. Yeah.
And then you got Best Science Fiction Film. So you already heard that Terminator 2 was part of this. So that actually won this category. It was also up against Grand Tour, Disaster in Time, Frankenstein Unbound, Prayer of the Roller Boys, and The Rocketeer. So it lost to Terminator 2. It's hard to argue that. I mean, we haven't done that on this show. We will eventually, but that's a great movie. One of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we talk about a little bit about this, and we'll mention this quite throughout. Like we talk about Predator Month and trying to compare the two movies without rehashing too much of this. Like, you mentioned the body count is lower. How does this compare to Predator 1 from 87?
So you take the Predator body count and you cut it in half, pretty much.
Really?
And then you got your Predator 2. 46 dead bodies in this Predator 2, allegedly, from our boys at alloutofbubblegum.com.
How many deaths? Like, that was dead bodies, right? And that includes like the war scene or the war.
Well, deaths,
war zone?
deaths, dead bodies. What you say? So the Predator got 26. Danny Glover got 6. Colombian drug lord El Scorpio with 5, and Danny Glover's partner Leona Cantrell got 1, and then Goldtooth, our boy Goldtooth with a knife kill.
Goldtooth,
our Jamaican drug thug got the 1 kill in there. So I don't know. The movie, it certainly felt violent for sure,
it did.
But it's absolutely less gory, and overall numbers far inferior to Predator 1.
And that's interesting because usually the sequel, they dial it up.
Yeah. And you would think they'd maybe make the kills count with more blood, and if they have less kills, they'd kind of up the gore factor, but no, they didn't. Maybe that was a budget thing. I don't know.
It could have been.
It might have been a budget thing, and they didn't, with the resources they had, maybe they didn't want it to look too, cheesy or kind of cheap looking. So maybe they went for a less an understated approach. I don't know.
I thought the interesting thing was you talk about strung up bodies. I thought that there was more of that this time because especially in the house and the sacrifice of the Jamaican cartel or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. We talk about Screwface, and there's some obviously comparisons to Mark for Death from the movie that we did with Steven Seagal. I couldn't tell if they were worshiping the Predator or not. It seems almost as if they knew that he was going to come. It was a weird vibe. I don't know if you got that when you watched that part.
I didn't get that. No, I did not see that.
It was weird.
I think it was just their own thing. I think they just pulled from, whether it's correct or not, Jamaican voodoo lore that may or may not be correct. That it's Hollywood, so we're gonna Hollywood it up. I think it's that whole thing.
What about Arnold? So we talked about Arnold was not in this. You have Danny Glover, and we'll talk about him in return of him to our podcast, The Triumphant Return.
Mm.
Arnold was, I think they wanted him in this. So I found an article on
absolutely.
Giant Freaking Robot, and who doesn't want Arnold in their movie?
No.
But the crux of it was that they said no, and it was apparently a dispute over money. So they said that, according to the producer, it was over a $250,000, so it's $250K, and the studio just wouldn't refuse to pay him. Do you think that was a mistake? Do you think they should have paid him to come back?
If I was a millionaire, Drew, I would use $250,000 of my own money to get Arnold in another Predator movie.
I mean, it's not that much money. I know it's 1990, but this is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was huge.
Where was the GoFundMe back in 1990 to get this guy in the movie?
Kickstarter. Come on.
Do it.
And in parallel to that, they had to create some weird backstory where then you heard Keyes talk about it during the movie, which was Gary Busey. He talked about how, they tracked him down to a hospital and Dutch was treated for radiation sickness because he was in the explosion at the end. And, after hearing the account of the events, Peter Keyes went out to find them in the jungle. They found some evidence of a spaceship and the deceased Predator's ship returned to the homeworld, all this stuff. And basically they said Dutch escaped and he just vanished. Would you just like that better if they never even talked about that? I don't think it was necessary.
No. And I guess you could make an argument if you want to make this Predator canon that maybe Dutch went into hiding because he knew that, the aliens would be back. They'd come back for him.
Is it personal? That's the other question we said, what happens if he didn't kill that Predator, the Predator would chase him to the ends of the earth. We said this in episode 112.
Yeah.
Is that the case? The others are going to come back and get revenge? Or is it well, hey, he killed my friend. This guy wasn't good enough to beat him. So screw it. Good for him.
So, I mean, not to talk about the ending right away, but we see in the end, Danny Glover bests the Predator and the other Predators come in and hey man, good job, buddy. You got us this time.
Yeah.
Gives them the souvenir and off they go. That's not goodbye. That's see you later.
See you later.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Yeah. See you soon.
Coming for you.
Yeah.
Final Destination.
Yeah. All the Final Destination taglines. That's what they're talking about.
Exactly.
And even in the new movie Prey that we find later, we're going to talk about that in a small detail later on in the show. There is a callback to that scenario coming up again. Not to give too many spoilers because that is a new movie and I don't want to really spoil that movie. But there's some callbacks to past Predator movies to where you kind of, you know what? Maybe the Predators do get revenge in some way, shape, or form later on.
Yeah.
After losing a fight. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about let's compare these movies a little bit and then we'll get into some specifics. But if I ask you outright, what do you think that you liked better about the first one? And then I'll ask you, what did you like better about the second one? Obviously they're very different movies.
Yeah.
What do you find better about the first one? Start with that.
The Arnold of it all is obviously the first and foremost, and really the personality of his crew.
Right. Danny
Glover didn't really have a crew. He had some partners. They weren't necessarily good characters. His female partner was, she didn't have anything to her.
She didn't do much.
No. And what's his name? Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bill Paxton, he had his own shtick going on, but what did he really do? Like nothing stood out. He didn't advance anything.
Right.
And he had a third partner as well who got himself killed, looked for clues. Nothing stood out. Each character in Predator 1 had their own personality, and the picking off of them one by one is a heck of a lot better than just the picking off of random gang members,
right.
Here or there, or 2/3 of your crew just getting killed in a subway,
a massacre,
a mass subway massacre or whatever.
Not the massacre at the village.
Yeah,
look what you made me do.
Yeah. So yeah, just the overall character development, the personalities of the first one for sure. I do like the setting of the second one better. I know that might be a disagreement for a lot of people, but me personally, I'm a city person more than a country person. I prefer the city setting in my movies as well as opposed to jungle, rainforest, country land. So what about you? What do you say?
I like the first one for the same reason that you said. I love the Arnold aspect of it. I mean, he's obviously one of my favorite actors in this era of film. So I think he's great. And I agree with everything you said about the crew. Like there was a lot of personality to the different guys, like Jesse Ventura, the guy that cuts his chest, like all the different, people and the things that they did. I think that there was a lot of personality within that group. And this one was more like you got this loner cop that's out there trying to, take on something he doesn't even understand. And I almost think that the first one was a bit more like a horror movie in that he was stalking them. And this one was more an action movie, which I also like, right? I like a lot of action movies. So, and the second one, I think I liked the expansion of like the lore. So I liked the fact that they showed the ship. I liked the scene of them on the ship. I thought that was really cool. And I love the fact that, that was actually like a set piece where they were fighting. And I thought that was a really awesome scene, especially when you see the other predators and them being there too, and they're all like the hunting party, I think they called it. And I like where they showed the other skulls too, where you get the xenomorph skull and some of these other animals that essentially expands to make you understand, okay, they've been coming to Earth for quite a while here. It's not just some random thing, a random event in a jungle. And I thought it was really cool. And especially at the end, you mentioned when they give him the pistol, I thought that was really, really cool. It was like a prize where it was like he bested him. So here you go. Here's like a prize, which I thought was interesting.
Like a lot of I really love the respect that the other predator showed at the end, where it's like, oh, are they going to kill him? Nah, man, good job. You got us this time. Yeah. See you soon. No, but I feel like even with the character development thing, even in the future movies, like not counting the Alien vs Predator ones, but in Predators and The Predator and Prey, they kind of fixed that mistake right away in having a more ensemble.
Yes.
Like Adrian Brody and his crew, they had personalities. They had different things about them. They were kind of one note in their characters, but at least there was something that differentiated them and made you care about them in some way. And same thing with the Shane Black one. Even though those characters are a little more annoying and a little more comic-y, at least they existed.
Yeah.
So you cared about it at a group, right, rather than a 1v1 type thing. Even though Predator 1 ended up being a 1v1 thing, but the majority of the movie, it was him and his crew, and they picked off one by one.
And it got you there.
Yeah. And Prey with the main character and even her dog and her family and her tribe. Like, it's a mistake that was clearly made in this movie. This movie is much better as a group versus Predator thing than a 1v1.
Yeah. And I liked the interesting fact that I saw. We talk about the other predators being out there. There was a thing I saw on IMDb that said a lot of the hunting party members, like the other predators, were played by LA Lakers players because Danny Glover's like a big fan, and they needed really tall people. So what better people to get than very tall basketball players? I don't know who they were.
Magic Johnson was under the mask. What's this?
It didn't say who they were, so I like to imagine that it was
James
like
Worthy. It was James Worthy and Magic Johnson. It had to be the stars. It couldn't be the bench players.
It had to be, and but I thought that was cool, and I think it was a different setting, and I think I like the jungle better personally, just because it was a little bit more suspenseful. But I like that they didn't just do the same exact thing, and I thought that was cool that they took it up a notch and did something different. Let
me throw a caveat on my pick of the city. So I think the potential to do this type of movie in a city it's so much higher than what they actually did, though.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know, maybe it was just the way who he was fighting. He was fighting the cartels, and then he, stumbled upon Danny Glover, and he decided that was going to be his big get. I don't know. I feel like I can't pinpoint it, but something's missing from this movie, And there's a reason why it's kind of forgettable. Even though I generally enjoyed it, there's something missing from it. And I feel like there's a missed opportunity to use the city, like the city being alive. You know, there was a touch of it in the subway. But if we could have expanded that to have like population in the streets, innocent bystanders that maybe not necessarily get killed, but the differentiation of who has weapons, who doesn't have weapons, use it in a live city. Maybe we're in a nightclub. I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far.
No,
here.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like to use a live city and not just have empty buildings. You know, one apartment building where he crashes an old lady's door, and just a bunch of warehouses. You know, a meat packing plant where there's no other people.
There's nobody in there.
Yeah. Kind of like, you know, the Jason Manhattan scenario.
Yes.
Jason Takes Manhattan, where he's intermixed with innocent people. Yeah, he took it. It's his. So,
he took it over, you know?
The Predator did not take Los Angeles, not by a long shot. He took some warehouses and some meat plants.
He took a meat plant.
Yeah.
Oh, like, man.
If they could have used a live city more, but maybe they couldn't do it because of budget constraints.
No, I agree with
that's
you. What
I want. I wanted a Predator in the city, in a living, breathing city.
You know what would have been an interesting take on this? Like, think about, like, I don't want to go too far off the rails here, but like, imagine if they sent him into like the Vietnam War or like a war zone, like World War II. Everyone's got guns. Well, like that would have been cool.
Dude, he could change the war. Well, you know, then the Germans win. Then what? Then what?
I mean, not that I want that, but imagine
not that he's going for the Germans, but like, what if he just kills one more?
That would be an interesting take on it, though, because his whole thing is he's only going to go after people that are hunting. So what if other people are going at, you know, it's something in a war zone where there's like, they try to make this a war zone, and we'll talk about the city in a second. And maybe that's a good segue into it, right? The jungle versus the city vibe. Like, there's obviously gangs everywhere. Like, it's just interesting the way that they make this out to be. But I guess before we talk about that, like, we talked about, could we survive in the jungle last episode, in episode 112? Could you survive in the city here? Like, which one do you think you'd have a better chance at?
So I have this thing that I've said, I don't think I've said it on the podcast, never came up, but I have this hypothetical scenario where I feel that if I was in a car getting chased by a police in my home city, that I could evade those cops and get away. Now, you know, license plates aside, they'll catch me a day later, but like, I feel like I could outrun the cops and successfully outmaneuver them to a point where they lose me for 24 hours.
The streets better?
Like, you know, my star rating in GTA would go to a 0. You know, I'd be able to get away from them. Yeah.
Get your car repainted in the shop?
I'd be able to get away from the cops. That's my theory. I'm probably dead wrong, but you know.
We should test this out one day.
Yeah. In similar case here, I feel like I would survive longer in the city, in my city, versus in some jungle that I don't know. I'll probably end up getting bit by a snake before the predator even touches me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the opposite. Like, I could lay in a ditch better in mud than me in the city, where I'd probably be the guy that gets clipped by one of the gang members, like these screwface gang.
You're in scene 1. You're in that street. Just you come out of a grocery store with the brown paper bag of groceries.
El Scorpio is gonna get me after he snorts some coke.
The bag falls over. The oranges roll out.
King Willie, he's got me. Like the lettuce flies out of the bag. I'm dead. Like, I can't do that.
But dude, let me tell you. Is there a better clean up the streets program than having a predator in your house?
That's the truth.
In your city that's riddled with gang violence. All violent crime would be gone if you just have the predator in your house. It's better than Batman.
Maybe that's what Keyes was trying to do. Like, instead of stealing their tech, he wanted to clean the streets up.
You know how, like, you know, Batman, he doesn't have guns. He doesn't do guns, right?
Right.
No lethal weapons for Batman. If the predator showed up in Gotham City and just started cleaning up the crime with murder, Batman would be so pissed. He'd have nothing to do. He'd have nothing to do except try to hunt the predator. But the predator won't kill him because he's not a threat to kill the predator.
He won't kill the predator, so obviously the predator won't kill him. So it's going to be a standoff.
It's
forever.
a big stalemate. It's a big stalemate. But long story short is there's no crime in Gotham anymore.
That's true. Because the predator's just taking them all out.
Let's get the predator in our high crime areas.
Isn't that where they like try to introduce like and you got invasive species, so they try to introduce something else that's gonna like, get them out. So it's like the lantern flies here in the Northeast. It's like, oh, let's get these murder hornets or whatever and just throw them out there.
Now we're infested with murder hornets.
And it's like, wait, is that really going to work? Like, do they study the ecosystem?
Yep. Now every time you go grab a knife to go cut your steak, you might get lasered by a predator.
The predator's going to get
because
you.
after they clean up all the crime, they're going to be bored or they're going to be looking for anything.
Well, he's got a knife, so
he's got a steak knife. He's coming right for us.
What about the gangs? Like, let's talk about this gang. So you got King Willie and El Scorpio. Were they rivals? I couldn't understand that. Like, it seemed they were, right? So El Scorpio was the guy with the long hair that should have had a ponytail. He
double
didn't.
Uzi. Yeah, double Uzi.
Should have had a ponytail. He snorted like the entire case of Coke and went like ballistic.
Don't you love the handful? Just didn't even no chopping of the lines. Nope. Just give me that. Just give it to me. Yeah.
He went like instantly like berserk, like Bane. You talk about Batman. He was like Bane getting venom. Like he just went like veins are popping out. Yep. And then King Willie was the head of the Jamaican gang, right? And they were the ones that were murdering people.
Two things about King Willie. A, terrible name for a Jamaican crime lord, right? King Willie. No.
Where's Screwface at when you need him?
Screwface. Now that's a name. Now Screwface was a little bitch, but at least he had a great name. Using stunt doubles. Who does that?
Yeah, that's completely BS.
Second thing about King Willie is he had the Jafar cane.
He did.
He had the Cobra cane. So badass.
What he loses in name, he makes up in accessories.
Oh yeah, he looked badass. Just get another name. King Willie. King Willie sounds playful.
It's like,
come on.
I don't know about these gangs, but there's this gang war and all this stuff's going on. And they're open firing with like, there was military grade weapons in the middle of the street in the daytime, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But did that throw you off that was during the day? It was like, it's like at noon.
I think it was definitely calculated to show right away, first scene, middle broad daylight, this city is overrun by gang warfare. What are we going to do? The city is on fire.
Do you think that's an accurate portrayal of like future Los Angeles? Because like we've done other movies on this show. We did Time Cop. We did Demolition Man. We've done these movies where there's a futuristic view. This isn't that far in the future, but is this like a realistic view?
I mean, without getting into today's politics, Drew, I will say this. Are we closer to all-out gun warfare in the streets or an all-out utopia?
Well, yeah, you're right.
We're closer to the hellfire and brimstone than we are the utopia. So
where's the Predator when you need him?
We just got to call the Predator.
Where's the Predator when you need him?
I'll be safe.
We talk about the heat wave too. So Summer of Sam and all the stuff. But like people, have you ever seen a sweatier movie that's not on Cinemax at 11 p.m. or like on a Friday? Like
there's few. There's very few. That's for sure.
This is like without getting into it. I mean, this is like the hottest movie I've ever seen.
So the only movie that's hotter is Do the Right Thing. I feel Spike Lee.
Yeah,
Spike Lee. Do the Right Thing is the only movie in cinema history that looks hotter than this movie.
I mean, like literally everyone has pit stains, shirt stains, back stains, dripping sweat. Like who's the sweat guy on set? Is that why they lost best makeup? Like all the makeup was running?
It was running. Yeah, it was running. Yep.
Are they just hosing people down in between scenes? Like, is there a reason why it was hot? I don't really understand the narrative reason.
I think it's like we said, like we joked about it, but we, the Summer of Sam thing, it adds to the people are hot and angry and scared. It's like it adds to the paranoia is that we just can't escape this place. This place is unbearable. It adds to it.
Well, and to add on top of that, there's a show that's filmed inside of this. But the guy Tony Pope has a show called Hardcore.
Yeah, just what do they call it? It's not shock news, but it's like
it's like the Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah,
like,
that kind of thing. Showing getting the murder caught live on tape. There's like this constant news cycle of feeding paranoia, but like this guy's showing the real deal. I mean, there's it's obviously live and happening right in front of him.
Hardcore.
The poor people in the streets are going nuts, and the mayor is out on vacation in Lake Tahoe, Drew. Where's the mayor?
Part.
Where's the mayor? The Tony Pope called him out.
I missed that part. You reminded me, and I actually didn't catch that line when I was watching it. It's so funny to me.
So I mean, clearly shades of Ted Cruz in Texas.
Yeah.
There's no power. There's no power in Texas. And Ted Cruz is off of Cancun.
Man,
there's bullets flying to the streets, and the mayor's out in Lake Tahoe.
Is Stephen Hopkins like a visionary here? Is he like Nostradamus here? Is that what this is about?
So before we move on from Tony Pope, I got to say that I loved the idea of the character, but Morton Downey Jr., who plays Tony Pope, could have gotten better.
Listen,
we had the same guy, and it was Shooter McGavin. I forget his real name, but for a second I thought this dude was Shooter McGavin. I had to look up IMDb, make sure it wasn't when I was watching this movie. But I feel like we both said the guy looked like Shooter McGavin. It should have been Shooter McGavin.
I think it's Christopher McDonald's the actor.
That's his name. Okay.
I think that I thought it was him for a second too. I'm like, man, why is this not the guy who plays Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
Like he
it's
looked
almost like
him.
like you know how the fake Billy Bob Thornton, the pitcher from Major
Yes.
League, that's like this guy Shooter McGavin is Morton Downey Jr.
It really is. He really should have been him. But I like the idea of this guy narrating. Like I wish he was in it more.
It was a good character. They didn't use him. They didn't use him enough, and also he was not very good, was he? So
no, maybe that's why.
Yeah. Maybe there's more scenes of him. They were like, we can't use this.
They should have used him as more of a narrative to kind of tell the story, because I thought it would have been cool to see it like from a Nightcrawler scenario where there's like all this chaos happening. He was only in it for Danny Glover to say F you and punch him and a bunch of other things, but I would have liked if his character was more like the POV, like we see through him or something. I thought that would have been a really cool touch.
And not to knock the movie. I don't want to knock the movie because I did like it, but what was there only like 7 Jamaicans and 7 Colombians?
Yeah, there wasn't
like once they both get taken up by Predator in their rooms or whatever, it was kind of done. It would have been cool to have Tony Pope throughout the movie, kind of like maybe interview one of them. Maybe they're running scared. You know how same thing with Batman, how the criminals are afraid of Batman coming out at night. Maybe there's a scene where the Colombians and the Jamaicans are scared looking, where's this devil from the sky coming from? You know,
I like that.
It's kind of a missed opportunity. It's another thing where the misuse of a city setting.
Yeah, and the other thing was the gang war was in the very beginning, but it was done then. It wasn't throughout. And I would have liked it if Danny Glover was caught up in that more. Like, and it was more of a thing where he had to be careful because he's going against the Predator, but this thing's still lurking and these guys are out there.
Yeah, the gang threat was over within the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Which was a mistake, I think.
It was odd because I was waiting for it to pick back up, and then once I realized no, he's fighting the Predator, and that's the end of this movie. Yep, it was, I don't know. I don't want to harp on the bad, though.
Let me give you another thing about the city before we move on, because I want to talk about Gary Busey and what he's doing. But I saw this on IMDb, and you know, again, I don't know if the moratorium's over, if I'm allowed. We'll let the listeners decide here.
I'm always going to disapprove. I'm just going to silently judge you.
I saw this because this was about filming in the city. So it said the filming of the alley scene was very troublesome for the filmmakers due to the rough neighborhood. The alley was littered with garbage, most of which was used in the film, and plagued with large rats. Local residents, angered by the noise created by the film crew, would throw bottles and paper bags filled with feces from the windows at the crew in the alley below. Worst of all, the crew found a dead body hidden among the garbage. Quote, the most horrible places I've ever had to film in were the alleys in downtown Los Angeles, Shane Mahan commented. And Predator 2 was shot in a lot of those disgusting alleys. They were dirty, depressing, and gross with people peeing on the walls. We'd be rigging something and there would be rats there. So like clearly it wasn't too much of a special effects in that regard. It was real.
So I'm assuming like the King Willie scene was probably the famous alley there.
It's got to be. Yeah. Especially some of the ones where Glover was chasing him too. Like imagine crap bags thrown at you.
You find a dead body, that's free extra, baby. You don't have to pay that person. It's free extra.
That's real. There you go.
He doesn't have a SAG card. Yeah, it's all free, baby. Use it.
Let's talk about Peter Keyes and let's talk about Gary Busey. So do you want to call it or should I, like the return of Gary Busey? You did the research on this. Yeah,
so we decided, we're going to talk about Busey first. We're going to talk about Glover first. We figured we'll talk about Busey first because his character leads into why we want to talk about Danny Glover a little bit here. So yeah, Peter Keyes, played by Gary Busey, a very sane and lucid Gary Busey.
Not the endocrine system.
Who, by the way, is in his 4th movie that we've used of him. A very sneaky member of the Five Timers Club coming up here for Gary Busey. Maybe we need to pull a black sheep out somewhere.
Do you count Entourage or no?
So here's the thing. I don't want to count bit movies as a Five Timers Club. If you cameo in the movie, I'd rather not count it.
All right.
We can put an asterisk next to your name. We'll acknowledge you.
All right.
So we did Lethal Weapon, we did Point Break, and we did Rookie of the Year, which are very clearly, feature Gary Busey, as well as this movie. If you want to call Entourage his 5th and he's a 5-timer, that's an asterisk to me.
Yeah, but, I'll go with you on that.
Yeah. So Gary Busey, check out his previous work in our library, our catalog, if you will. So as we noted in his plan above, in the opening skit there, he knows all about the Predator. He's done the research. He thinks he knows all of its tricks.
Thanks.
He's trying to capture this man, this beast, this alien, not trying to kill it. Capture it and study it, figure out its moves, what it does. How can we use it? How can we weaponize it?
Yeah.
How can we weaponize this Predator?
And steal the tech.
Steal the tech. Put it to war. Clean up the streets like I want. I'm on Gary Busey's side.
Was he trying to weaponize the Predator, or he was trying to take the technology? Like that part.
It's all the same. We'll take the technology to. I'm sure it's military based.
Yeah.
You know? They're feds. There's a blanket statement, quote unquote, feds. What were the AWFL or something like that? I forget
it was
their
like
moniker.
OWLF, the OWLF.
Yeah, Owlf. It's like wolf, but weird.
Owlf.
I don't know. I forget what it stood for, but I'm sure it's some kind of blanket military operation.
It's no BAFTA.
So yeah, that's clearly not a Ball and S Fun Times. But they're trying to capture this guy. So we have that versus Danny Glover, who's like just trying to clean up these streets, man.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about no alien technology. Let me clean up these streets. Who's killing people? Not in my city.
He needs the bigger picture in mind, man.
I don't care. I don't care what research you've done. I don't care if you understand this enemy more than I do. Get out of my way.
What do you think of that?
Classic jurisdiction battle between cop and Fed, right?
Just like especially the jurisdiction thing. Like, did you like the fake out where? And I don't know when the last time you saw this movie was, so I remembered this. The Busey was in some federal investigation bureau or whatever.
Mid 2000s. Yeah,
he was in something. But did you like the fact that they sort of made him like a DEA agent and he came in under the guise of like, hey, we're looking for drug deals? It was sort of like a misdirection.
Yeah, you have to, because what are you just going to announce to the world? I'm looking for an alien. You have to. You can't. You have to. Cover
Why not? Right.
That's why the Men in Black exist.
What'd you think of his pheromone sensor? Because what I want to ask you is like, he couldn't see the predator. He couldn't see him because obviously he's masked with the cloaking technology that we've learned all about from Predator 1 and episode 112. So in episode 113 here, the one we're doing, Predator 2, he's got the same technology, but Peter Keyes is keen enough to know that this thing's leaving a scent. Like, what the hell does a predator smell like? I have my thoughts, but like, what do you think this thing smells like? And can you smell the pheromones? Or are they just like, I don't know.
It stinks like sex. I know that.
Right? That's what I would think. This thing probably smells like, you ever go to like a farm or something and you smell like farm animals? Like, I think this thing probably smells like a horse or a cow. Like, it just smell like the thing's all dripping wet all the time too. Yeah. So it looks like it's
all sorts of it's oozing. It's secreting liquids out of orifices that we don't even know about.
We don't even know about this thing, man. Like, what does this thing smell like? And does it stink? Like, because you can't see it. You're like, man, what's that smell? Like, you smell something nasty. It's like maybe there's a predator in here.
It smells like Sex Panther, yeah.
Maybe it's a pungent smell. Like, maybe there's a predator.
It's like, oh man, it smells like somebody just had sex in here. It's like, it smells like there's a predator in here. Same thing.
It's like the same thing. Yeah. That's what it smells like. Because he's got the little waves of like the dust of pheromones and stuff. And he's got like a pretty intricate plan too of catching this thing.
So this guy's done research.
He knows.
All due respect, I got a plan. That's maybe a little better than his pheromone bullshit. Can we just get a big hose, spray the thing down, and then you can see his outline in the water?
Yeah.
Like Hollow Man, like Invisible Man, that kind of thing.
And didn't they know that the water messed up the cloaking technology? Shouldn't they have just taken him into a room and turned a sprinkler on?
Yeah,
instead?
Turn a sprinkler on, or just have buckets of paint. Start sloshing paint everywhere like it's Splatoon, man. Get the neon green paint, get the buckets of green paint, and all of a sudden this guy's walking around with green paint. Cloaking device does nothing.
You know what? Gary Busey is the golden retriever of FBI agencies. You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Do less. Do less.
He had all kinds of like nuclear particles in the room with like a heat suit.
How did Arnold beat the Predator? Did he do too much?
No.
He did less, didn't he?
He slathered himself with mud.
That's all he did, and it worked. He set up some pointy traps and a big stump, and it worked.
Some Boy Scout traps, they said. Yep. Like, this guy's coming in here with like, and he got cocky, right? He thought he knew the spectrum of light that this guy could see. Yeah.
He tried to outscience the Predator.
You can't outsmart an alien. Come on,
idiot. See, Danny Glover knew nothing, and he won because but knowing nothing is being better than outsmarting the Predator. You can't outsmart him, so it's better to undersmart him.
Is this the equivalent of like where you get somebody that's like a really good at a video game, and then you get the guy like never played it, and they come in and kick your ass, and it's like, oh, did I do good? Like, did I win? That's exactly Danny Glover. You got it. You nailed it. Did I beat the Predator?
Did I just win? Is that good? Is this high score? He's dead. Is that good?
I mean, do you think that in a perfect world, right? This guy's plan. Do you think it would have been good? Like, he thought it through. Obviously, I guess what we're saying is no. Like, not really.
No. He thought it through, but he wildly underestimated it, thinking he's smarter than he is.
Well, let's talk about Glover then. So you got Mike Harrigan. I know we're 45 minutes in here talking about him, but is he return? What is his episodes? Because we did Lethal Weapon before. We did Angels in the Outfield.
This is his third.
Is he 3?
Yep.
So this is the third timers, and I mean, we're getting. I guess we've done so many episodes. We're getting so close that a lot of these guys. And you said it before, El Scorpio, right? Wasn't El Scorpio like in the 100 timers club because he's a stuntman and everything?
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention El Scorpio is a world famous stuntman who's in basically every action movie you've ever seen in your life.
Ever.
You've seen the back of his head in every movie ever.
The guy was awesome, by the way. I didn't give him enough credit.
So,
like, talk about random henchmen.
No, good for him for getting some screen time and actually being able to do a little something with his face. You know.
We joked about Glover's, maybe ineptitude, and maybe that's why he wins. Did the Predator underestimate him? So we talked about Dutch's techniques and his defense and his offense. Like, how does this compare to Dutch? What do you think about Glover's tactics? Who's the better fighter? Like, let's talk about him versus Dutch.
I think it's simple. Like, first one's luck. The second one is just right place, right time, instincts.
Yep.
Because he doesn't really have a plan.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He kind of comes into rooms firing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's lucky the Predator made a mistake and dropped his saw. And that kind of was the reason why he won, really.
Right.
So, yeah, he has no techniques. He has no defense. He has no offense. He's winging it the whole time. He's winging it, Drew.
And his captain was like, stay out of this. And he probably should have. He probably should have. Like, I don't know, maybe the Predator would still be running rampant if he didn't accidentally kill him. It's Keyes got massacred.
Yeah, just like Arnold just kind of like stumbled upon it. Like, I mean, Arnold's a great warrior, don't get me wrong, Dutch, if you will. But the less you think about it, the better your chances are against the Predator. You just kind of have to go with it. You have to just go with it. You got to adapt.
Don't know what you're doing. Just do something.
Yeah, do something.
Do something.
But not too much.
Do you think that so it's obvious that Dutch was the better fighter, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because for me, like, I'm just gonna say this outright, like, there's no way in hell in any 9 times out of 10, Danny Glover's getting his ass killed.
So that's the biggest problem with the movie is the believability of Danny Glover being this kind of action star. So we see him in Lethal Weapon, and it makes sense because he plays the role of I'm too old for this shit.
Exactly.
Almost at retirement cop. And you know what? He's tired. He has like 17 kids in Lethal Weapon. Like, he's had enough of everything. It's not just the police work. He has no break. The man can't take a bath without getting interrupted. We've been over this. We've been over this. So he's like over it. But in this movie, he's just a cop, man. He's just a normal ass cop. He's not even a Seagal level cop. His hand-to-hand skills are to be questioned.
Yeah.
He's just a cop who's kind of has street smarts. 2 questions for you. One, like, do you agree? Did you buy Danny Glover as, like, should they have gotten someone different for this?
Yes.
Like, did you read any stories about guys turning this down, or did they just land on him?
I'll be honest.
I couldn't find anything.
I didn't look it up too hard because I was just fixated on the fact that they didn't bring Arnold back.
Yeah.
But, we always have a lot of trivia on this show that always talks about, who should have done this.
Shoulda, coulda, almost did, but didn't.
Yeah. Like who should have been cast and who wasn't or was cast in this. And, from my perspective, like, I don't think that he was the right fit for this. I just don't think that he was the right actor. And I feel like there could have been other guys that would have done a better job. And I personally think that Dutch was such a good match for the Predator and such a good, like I don't know, commando that it's going to be hard to follow up with that.
Larger than life star Arnold Schwarzenegger, huge muscles, It's kind of hard to follow that up with just a skinny detective, right?
I agree with you. And, I saw stuff like originally about an article that I saw on IMDb that said Gary Busey's character, Peter Keyes, was originally written into the script as Dutch. And that was supposed to be Schwarzenegger's character. It was more of a robust role, and there would have been a sharing of the Glover-Schwarzenegger headline. But because Schwarzenegger didn't want to be in it, and there was script and the money and all that other stuff, Keyes got reduced to more of like an anti-hero role, and that's what you saw with Gary Busey.
Yeah.
But I didn't find a ton, and maybe I just didn't look hard enough. I don't know.
I didn't see anything. Now here's I have a theory that there's no bearing to this. I've not read anything on this. I feel like the studio wanted Mel Gibson.
I would have
saw
liked
Lethal
that.
Weapon. Let's get Mel Gibson, and maybe for whatever reason he turned it down, or they couldn't get him, or maybe he was busy doing another movie at the time. Now Mel Gibson wasn't a huge star at the time. Like they had just wrapped Lethal Weapon 1, or Lethal Weapon 2. I mean, he's getting there. He's Mad Max.
Yeah.
You know, he is Riggs, but you know his star power isn't so much higher than Danny Glover at this time.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe it's just me projecting the character of Martin Riggs.
No, I think it's a fair one.
Like it would be more believable because Riggs is the lunatic. You could see Riggs doing the things that Harrigan is doing in this movie. Maybe that's just me placing that character in this movie. But I think it would have been more enjoyable. And let's be honest, you know, Mel Gibson's a better actor.
Yes.
I've gone on record at Danny Glover in the past. I've kind of bashed him in both movies. That I think he's like crazy overrated. I don't know.
Man.
I think he's more of a dramatic actor than he is an action star.
I agree
put
with
it that way.
I agree with that.
And he fits in Lethal Weapon, even though I don't think he acts very well in Lethal Weapon. He kind of fits the role.
Well, he's better cast in that because of like the way he plays the character, and I think he does a good job of playing Murtaugh.
So
and
when
I think
it's
the dynamic,
and I don't think he did a bad job in this movie. I just think that there's reasons why this movie isn't.
Oh yeah,
and we've listed many of them already in the show, and this is just yet another one. Is that his portrayal, his casting in this movie was kind of miscast.
Man, how did I miss this? So I just looked this up, and I completely missed this. And this is like the exact kind of trivia that we would have on this show.
Well, go for it.
Take this for what you will. This is on IMDb. In 2020, Stephen Hopkins revealed that he met with Steven Seagal for the lead role in this film. Seagal wanted to play the character as a CIA psychiatrist who knew martial arts. Hopkins passed on casting him, wanting the character to be an, quote, average Joe type. Hopkins also envisioned Patrick Swayze playing the part. How did I miss that?
I'm hurt.
How did I miss that?
I wish you hadn't told me that, because now there's like a whole other timeline.
A universe where Steven Seagal fights the Predator?
The movie business would have been turned on its head.
Yes.
Had Steven Seagal done Predator 2, maybe he'd still be acting and in shape to this day, rather than being fat and doing, you know, directed on demand bullshit.
Man, I can't believe
Patrick Swayze might be alive today had he done this movie.
He would have been awesome.
He might still be alive had he done this movie.
He would have been awesome in this.
Oh man, Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, I thought, you know, and then I saw another thing here as I was looking this up, and I didn't write this earlier, but it said Hopkins said that Schwarzenegger refused a supporting role, not because he didn't like the script, but because he refused to postpone the filming of Kindergarten Cop, which started filming in October. Hopkins said he was relieved because if Arnold was ultimately on board, massive script rewrites would have had to been necessary. But man, Steven Seagal, why was he not in this? Yeah. Why was he not in this?
Yeah, I'm okay with it not being Arnold, because I like the idea. New Predator, new prey. But yeah, oh man. I mean, I know we love Skull, you know, but I feel like Swayze would have kicked some serious ass.
He would have been great.
That would have been great.
I just echo everything you said about Glover. Like, I like Danny Glover. I think he's good in movies. And like you said, I think he's a better dramatic actor.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just didn't buy him as this cop, like in this kind of movie. In Lethal Weapon, it works.
This rogue cop that drives, you know, like Ace Ventura through hailfire and bullets.
Yeah.
To protect people, which, you know, ultimately turns the Predator on and gets him onto it. That's not Danny Glover.
I don't like Denzel Washington or something. I thought he could have been really good in this, or like a guy like that.
I don't know. Even him, like Wesley Snipes. I'll take Wesley Snipes.
Snipes would be good too in the 90s.
We can't. To me, we can't name any more guys because I feel like Patrick Swayze's the guy.
Yeah, he is the guy
for the time.
That's true.
Give me Patrick Swayze. Give me freaking. Give me Riggs. Give me Riggs all day.
Well, and Seagal being
Mel.
And Seagal being Mike Harrigan to me is the equivalent of Nicolas Cage being Superman. Like, I want to see that timeline, but I don't really want it to exist.
It's probably not for the best. Yeah.
Last question for you here. The thing about Danny Glover, what did the Predator think made him a worthy opponent? Because in the first one, you saw Dutch, like he was clearly a worthy opponent. He mowed down that whole city or the thing in the jungle. Like the Predator saw that. Like what made him a worthy opponent here?
I may be segmenting myself, but I know you know what I'm talking about when I say this. You know the Vince McMahon gif?
Yes.
Where he's sitting in the chair
and he falls backwards.
And the bodybuilder, where it's like he gets a little more intrigued after every pose, and then eventually he falls over in his chair at an orgasm.
Oh yeah.
So when the Predator, when Danny Glover was driving that car like a maniac for bullet fire,
hanging out the side.
That was him looking like Vince McMahon, intrigued and excited. Like,
this guy.
Yeah. And then he saw him a little bit in the hallways, kicking ass, killing people with shotguns. A little more. Ooh, he's getting a little more riled up. And then on the rooftop, when he guns down what's his face?
El Scorpio.
El Scorpio. When he guns down El Scorpio and steals the Predator's kill. Stole his kill. That's when he fell over his chair. I gotta have this guy. Yeah. I gotta have him.
This is the guy.
This is the guy. He could have shot him in the back right there, but no. He's got to save it.
Yeah.
Let's save it.
He could have got back on his spaceship and flown home. He had a bunch of like entrails and what is spines and helm and heads, but he needed this guy.
When he shot El Scorpio, Al Pacino, what are we doing? When he shot El Scorpio off of that building, it stunk like Predator in there, big time.
Yeah,
it stunk like Predator.
The pheromones were flowing.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he was dripping wet.
Yeah.
What about some of these side characters? Let's quickly touch on them because we also have to induct someone else into the Five Timers Club.
Dude, these Five Timers, and I can't in good conscience allow Bill Paxton in the Five Timers Club.
You can't? Why not?
Because this is his fifth movie that we did, but is it really?
It is.
I mean, he was Simon in True Lies, who is a Last Row award winner from our awards episode.
That's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for best side character. Commando.
What was he?
He had one line on a CB radio. Is he really in that movie?
Oh yeah, he was in there.
He was more in Terminator when he was punk leader and got his ass kicked and his jacket stolen from Arnold, which was a big thing because Arnold was wearing that jacket the whole movie. It's a cool jacket. and of course he was in Twister, as Bill the Extreme Harding. So I mean that's a real movie. So.
You can't give him credit for the jacket.
I'm giving him credit for this True Lies and Twister. I can't give him credit for Commando and Terminator.
The jacket was in it more than he was.
Yeah, but he was seriously.
It was.
But he was literally in those movies, and this is technically the fifth episode that we've done of his. So yeah.
So you're saying he's not in the Five Timers Club? We're not going to make a YouTube playlist for him.
Yeah, he's in here's all the Bill Paxton movies we did. Yeah. People like, he was in Commando? Wait, he was in Terminator?
I made official YouTube playlists for all of our Five Timers. We got JCVD, we had Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we had a couple others out there. We'll make them others, but yeah, I don't know. I liked him in this, but I feel like he was a poor man's Simon. I feel his portrayal here. Like he was called like the Lone Ranger, right?
Yeah, he was trying to cultivate this, this Bill Paxton shtick that he kind of became known for around this era of movies. He kind of did it a little bit in Aliens, the small role he had there. And I don't know, like he just wasn't very good at all.
No, he's all right.
Him and his hat.
His twin hat with Danny Glover.
His 30s PI hat. Speaking of fashion, how about freaking Gary Busey's double-breasted suit?
I like that. He looked badass.
Bring back the double-breasted suit.
He looked good. Yeah. He looked good. And then his little foil suit, the running suit from Christmas Vacation.
The Devo suit. Yeah.
Trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
What about, so then we also had a return of Maria Alonso, who played Leona Cantrell, who was the running mate of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Running Man. Yeah. I thought she was good in this, but they didn't give her much. Like she didn't have a lot to work with.
So I did like the Predator was going to kill her. She was on the subway with a weapon, but he raised her up to kill her. And then he saw with his infrared that she was with child. Yeah. And then he let her go. So
he spared her.
A very passionate and a very compassionate predator, I should say.
He's not a blind killer.
I wonder if Jungle Predator would have made the kill there.
That's a good question.
But this Predator was like, nah, not today.
Is that
you're free to go? You're free to go.
Do they have like Predator Society rules where they're not going to do that because she's a mother?
I think it's call. I think it's your call. I think it's Predator's choice.
Predator's choice. There you go.
Yes.
Player's choice. Yeah. and then what about the guy who just pathetically died like investigating the crime scene, Danny Archuleta? Like it was his buddy Danny, and then like he got stalked at the funeral. Like it was really bizarre.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, that guy didn't really do much either. And you mentioned it earlier, like Predator 1 had the crew. Like this really wasn't a crew. It was just like lone wolf.
No, it was really just Glover walking around investigating and Paxton behind him.
Yeah.
That's all it was. So
Okay, so I'm not going to introduce the villain scale officially. So if you guys haven't listened to episode 112, go back and listen to it. I'll put a link in the show notes. In episode 112, we rated the Predator from 1987 on the Predator scale, right? And that's our scale where we had look, style, hideout, lair, plan, and henchman. He got a 5 for look and style, a 4 for hideout and lair, a 3 for plan, and a 1 for henchman. He wound up with a 13 out of 20, which is respectable. It's in the upper third of the villains on this movie, the movies that we've done. I don't think we should, like you said it earlier, I agree with you. Let's not throw them all through the scale again because it's similar. It is a different Predator specifically. But I do want to ask you, like, is there maybe we can do this throughout the episode here or the rest of the episode. Is there anything you want to change? And I'll ask you by saying this, like, how effective was this guy? So compare him to the first Predator and what do you think the effectiveness is? Because it's obviously a different player in the game.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, definitely felt like a weaker Predator, even though he had more moves, right?
Yep.
He had more moves, more tech. He seemed a little bigger. But I don't know, like he's running from Danny Glover,
and out in a meat house.
Yeah, he just seemed more willing to be visible, rather than stealth mode.
Yep.
Which I thought was an interesting choice for a Predator to make. You think you want to use that camo a little more than he did?
That might have been a creative choice by the director to show him more.
Well, yeah, I do want to see him, so it's good move. But if we're talking like in the movie, what's he doing, right?
Yeah. Well, what about the fixation on the drug dealers too? Like, what? That's like to me, like going after rabbits. Like
the Predator. Look, I said this in our episode 112. The Predator's a cheap ass killer, man.
Yeah.
Like he's picking people off that don't even know they're in a fight sometimes.
Yeah.
You got A shooting at B, and you got C perched up there in camo, just picking people off with a laser gun. It's not fair. He's a cheap fighter. He's always has been.
Laser gun too.
Always has been. Always will be. Yeah. He's got auto aim on. It's this guy. So
aimbots.
Yeah, so he's always fighting unfair fights. In the subway, Drew, we have the scene where the the guy in the hat and the briefcase is getting bullied by these thugs, pulls a gun out. All of a sudden, the whole subway is pulling guns out. Predator just happens to be on top of that subway train, waiting for people to pick their guns out so he can start a massacre.
Totally
calculated. That's cheap. Those are cheap kills, right?
Yeah.
So he's always been cheap to me. So I can't. While he's tough to kill, he's also a cheap ass.
Yeah,
I don't respect him. I don't respect him. I respect his strength. I don't respect his. What do I want to say? I don't respect his
methods.
I don't respect his methods.
Yeah. What about the whole like voice, right? In the first one, you had the mocking one where he was laughing and using the laugh from one of the commandos' laugh and voice. In this, he's got some kid asking for like, want some candy? Like I couldn't tell whether that made him more badass or less because it was weird.
It was more horror element for sure.
It was creepy, right?
Yeah, I feel like, and that was some of the best horror elements of the first one as well, was when he was using this language that he didn't know out of context sometimes, or to bait other people in.
Yeah.
Like I thought that's a weapon that I feel like they could have used even more to like up the horror factor of it.
Do you think this guy's an amateur though? Because like I was thinking about this, is it a conscious choice not to wear body armor? So he's cheating with all kinds of tech and all this stuff. He's got the biomask. I don't know if that's so he can breathe better or something. Like it obviously operates his weapon because he's got like the laser sight and all that. Mm-hmm. But like, why doesn't he wear body armor? Like he's just like exposed.
I think that bullets are like paper cuts to him. It doesn't bother him. It just flat out doesn't bother him.
It's the buzzing of flies.
Yeah. It's like if you shoot an alligator with a 9, it's just going to it won't even know. It won't even penetrate the skin.
I mean, shoot me with a 9, it's like.
Yeah. And this guy's more scaly. It's tougher material than an alligator, I would feel.
He's just like trickling out of the blood, I guess. And then this guy, you talk about him being an amateur. You mentioned the first guys. Did they send a dud? We said it with the T-800. Mm. Like, is this guy also a dud? This was
the Predator 1's younger brother.
Yeah.
That's what this was.
It just doesn't, it's like odd to me because he let this old geriatric cop beat him.
Yeah.
He leaves his gun, he loses his service weapon essentially. Like if you're a cop or you're like a military person and you lose your weapon, like you're deep shit. Yeah. Like it's over. This guy left his blade and he died because of it.
He died because of it. Yeah.
He couldn't even Kalitri him and take him out while he was getting sawed in half.
Are you telling me, as he's falling, he couldn't shoot his mask laser up?
He had everything. Like he was getting this guy's weak as hell. Like I think that you or I could have taken this guy out.
Well, let's not go nuts there now. Speak for yourself there, fella. But he lost all credibility for me when he was hanging, basically grabbing Danny Glover so he wouldn't fall. Pathetic. Like, that's pathetic. Come on, buddy. You're better than this.
And then he went to engage the nuke.
No. Yeah. He tried to nuke himself and he failed at that. Oh man.
Like, why didn't he just jump?
And it's what it is wasted opportunity. It's wasted potential. It's wasted potential because he's got the tools and he's got the talent. But I don't know if it's a lack of focus from this predator or what, but something's missing there. And I feel like his buddies that come into the ship to drag his dead carcass out, they're shaking their heads going, this guy.
It's embarrassment.
It's embarrassing. He threw the gun at
this guy.
Yeah, this guy. I got to give the gun to this guy.
Like, I mean, look, you lose to Arnold. I can understand that. But like I said, it's like a cop damn near retirement.
At least Arnold's a specimen, you know?
He's a special forces guy that was mowing down cities. Like, this is like I mean, look, I'm not taking anything away from the street smarts that Danny Glover has here. He's a good cop. But I just find it hard to believe that he could actually beat this guy. And I personally I don't know. Like, I don't know. Do you want to take a point away? Like, maybe we just leave it at 13 and we just call it for what it is.
I think it's give and take because we take a point away from plan, but we give a point for layer because we do see the spaceship.
The spaceship was freaking awesome. It was so cool.
And all that. Yeah.
And maybe we can just close it out with that. I mean, I personally think that the coolest part of this whole thing was that fight at the end where you saw the spaceship, you saw the skulls. It was awesome.
But yeah, I stand by my theory that, I mean, no disrespect to the Predator's actual ability, but the two Predators that we saw in Predator 1 and 2 are dud Predators.
Yeah.
And they're probably from the same lineage. I think this Predator is the younger but larger brother, just much like Kane is the younger brother of the Undertaker, but Kane is larger.
Yeah, there you go.
Like your little brother is actually bigger. That's this scenario. And he just learned all the bad moves from his brother.
And look, maybe it's a cop out, but we'll call it 13. I'll make another entry in the villain scale diary here. 13 out of 20. I think you're right. Like, it's probably give a point, lose a point. It's the Mike Barnes, Terry Silver technique here. You got to take one away, add one. Let's go with that. I think that's fine. But you mentioned other Predators, and maybe we'd be remiss if we don't end Predator Month talking a little bit about. I know you and I watched Prey. We don't have to rate any of these Predators, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of the films because I watched Prey. I know you did, and we should preface this: no spoilers. We will not give any away right now because it's a brand new movie. But I highly recommend that you check it out if you are a fan of this series. I thought it was awesome.
It's currently a Hulu exclusive. It just came out a couple weeks ago, and it is like I blasphemy to say, and I'm going to stop short of saying that it's better than the first one.
I kind of agree.
But I thought it was so well made. The setting was awesome. The use of the tribes, and I don't know, the actress, I'm missing her name. She was so badass in it. She was so badass in it.
Yeah.
And like
she was great.
I think the Predator itself looked very intimidating, was the best fighting Predator that we've seen in a movie, I felt. The most physically imposing. I didn't know if the main character was going to make it out of it or not. Like, it was very much a bleak scenario. And also like a formidable fight between her brother and her going up against this guy amongst the other members of the tribe. Dude, like I love the simplicity of it just being out in the open.
Yeah. I think what Prey does really well, and I'll say this, is it gets back to what you said. Don't do too much.
Yep.
They weren't trying to have some complicated, convoluted plot. It took everything that the 1987 Predator did, and I think it built upon it. And I think it was a very simple setting. There wasn't tons of characters that needed some crazy backstory or whatever. They didn't try to make it bigger than it was. It was contained to a specific geographic region.
Yep.
It wasn't this crazy movie. Like, I just thought it was simple, and it was really good because of how simple it was. And I think movies need to get back to that.
Yeah.
Like, and everything is a cinematic universe now. Like, give me this. It's self-contained. It was great.
Obviously, the use of primitive weapons because it was in the 1700s.
Yep.
Native American tribe, they're using hatchets. You know, they're using bow and arrow. The Predator itself, while it had its technology, it had its cloaking technology, the laser was replaced with kind of a more primitive,
like a crossbow almost.
Bolt arrow type tri-shot kind of thing. And yeah, I can't say enough about it. Like, it was so good. I was blown away. I was blown away by how good it was.
I definitely recommend you all check it out. Even if you can get a free trial to Hulu, it's worth it. If you're a fan of this series, like go check it out. Like that is besides the first one, it's my favorite in the whole. I haven't, and look, on the record, I haven't seen some of these other ones. Maybe we can talk about them really quickly. But like, do you think that it stands up? Like, if you had to rate that, like, where would you rank it? Would you put it right below the first one?
It's two, and I can't wait to watch it again. Honestly,
yeah.
The other sequels, aside from the Alien vs. Predator series, which I've only seen once each, and they were at the time they were released. Let me tell you, man, 2004 was a part in time. You call it the new metal era of movies.
It is,
and greatly coined.
It is.
You can't see the fights in this movie.
Too dark.
It's too dark, and it moves too fast. It's like a shot. Like Transformers did a similar thing.
That was the shaky cam.
Yeah,
thing.
Shaky cam. You can't see who's fighting who, so it's just you're watching a shaking camera getting a seizure. That's all you're doing.
Like, who wants to see that?
So, like, the concept of Alien vs. Predator was built up for how many years? When we saw the freaking head, the skull in Predator 2 in the ship. Oh man, are they ever going to fight each other? Are we going to see this fight? This is awesome. And the build-up, it was like Freddy vs. Jason's level of, oh man, whose side are you on? Can't wait to watch it. It's definitely a theater movie. Then you get there, and it's just, they botched it so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. I saw that in the theater.
Yeah, the human characters sucked, and it's just there wasn't enough of actual, like, good, maybe like the special effects couldn't handle what they actually envisioned in their brains or what. Total letdown. And Requiem was a lot of the same. They slowed it down a little bit, but it's still, the movie had no soul. And maybe it's just that's what you get when you take the studio movie. When you take the human element out of Alien versus Predator. Obviously, there's human characters in these movies, but it's not like, common goal, this group versus Predator. This group fighting off an alien where you're fighting for the humans to follow through. I don't know. It's just they just flopped, both of them.
Are those movies like, and I don't know them as well as you do, because like I saw the first one, Alien vs. Predator. I remember, I think you and I watched that together in the theater one time.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure with our friend and listener of the podcast, Julio. I'm pretty sure we saw that together. But like, are these things regarded in the fandom? Because I'm not in the lore of all this. Like, I love Predator 1 and I love Predator 2. And Prey was the next one that I saw besides AVP 1. But like, I haven't seen Predators. I haven't seen The Predator. Like, I haven't seen some of these other movies. Like, are they like held up in there or not? I don't know.
Yeah. So Alien versus Predator, I'm not even sure we count them in Predator lore, but they're awful and they're way bottom anyways.
Yeah.
So Predators 2010 with Adrian Brody and Topher Grace, among others. I think Danny Trejo's in it. I've seen it twice, I believe. That it's a surprisingly good movie.
I haven't seen it.
It has a lot going on for it. So the plot of that movie is we see the characters one by one get dropped out of the sky, barely surviving, last second pulling their parachutes. Come to find out they were drugged, knocked out, whatever, and brought to this alien planet.
That's
and they're
cool.
being hunted. They're being hunted, I guess, in their I don't know if it's a home territory of the Predators or just a neutral planet or whatever. But and there's 3 Predators and they all have distinct abilities. One has like this falcon that can like detect them. One has like hounds that can trace them on the ground, and one's like this major super buffed out one, like Super Shredder kind of. But that one had a good pace to it. The jungle setting is back. There was some comedy, but they didn't rely on the comedy. Wasn't overdone. And it's just an overall good movie. And I think that it's worthy of a rewatch or a first watch.
I haven't seen it, and you actually make me want to go watch it.
It's good.
I still have Hulu right now, and I have to check it out because it's all on there.
The Predator, on the other hand, the 2019 or 18, I forget the year, Shane Black version, people hated it. People effing hated this movie. And I think for good reason. If you're a fan of the Predator, it turned it into a comedy.
Yeah,
and it kind of made the Predator look like a bitch a little bit, more so as an overall bitch than us joking about it, right? And the characters all kind of stunk. There was this the main character was this little boy who's on the spectrum, and they kind of made it out to be a superpower, but it was kind of
and that's an offensive,
in a borderline of disrespectful, offensive way.
Yeah,
it was very problematic. So you think that you have Shane Black helming your movie, you're in good hands. It was a rare flop for him.
Really?
Yeah, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but I have no need to go back to it. And I would say it's a skip for sure if you want to save your 2 hours.
I'm definitely interested in watching the one with Adrian Brody, like you mentioned.
It. Oh yeah, Yeah, it's totally doable. It's totally a rewatchable movie.
So I do. What would you say? So would you put that one as like the third one? The Predator is like the third one.
The Predator is the third one. No, it's
Predator.
Yeah,
2?
the third. Yeah, I would say Predator 2010. Predators.
Yeah.
I know it's confusing. One Predator
in 87.
One Arnold. 2, I would say Prey, the new one. 3, Predators, Brody.
Okay.
4, Predator 2. And so Predators and Predator 2 are like neck and neck. They're like 3A and 3B to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then freaking Shane Black is like down at number 99.
I gotta say, like, I'll tell you, like, to close out my thoughts on this one, I really like this movie. Like, I actually really like it. Like,
I'm surprised.
It feels like 1990 to me, and maybe that's like a comfort area for me or my comfort zone. But I just really liked the overall vibe of it. I liked the expansion of the lore. I liked the city vibe, like you said. You know, I like Danny Glover. I just think he was miscast in this. And I really think that it was an interesting expansion of the story on top of where it was coming from. And I feel like they did a good job with it for what it was. Like, they had big shoes to fill. The first one was obviously a really good movie, and you had Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, how do you follow that up? And, you know, you got this guy who didn't really have a huge directing career. I thought he did a good job. Like, overall, I think this is a good movie, and it's enjoyable.
It's technically well done. The story's a little weak. Totally miscast the star, that's for sure. But I agree with your points. I totally agree with your the city vibe. 90s action movie in the city, cop movie, kind of gives off some Seagal vibes of him running the streets. It has that like feel. It's like the shot of it. I don't know. There's kind of a reddish hue to the movie. It leans into the heat.
It's hot and wet.
Yeah, it's hot and wet, and
steamy.
Sexy. Hot, wet, steamy, sexy. We didn't even talk about the you gotta have boobs.
Oh yeah,
it's
an 80s
Cinemax
sex scene there.
It's a 90s action movie. You gotta have a sex scene.
But they added
there's an unnecessary sex scene. Yeah, unnecessary.
It was like completely unnecessary, and you got like 15 seconds of it. It's like what am I watching?
Yeah. You better turn the mute on when your mom comes in the room. Tell you that much.
It's definitely Skinemax style. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I hope people enjoyed Predator Month. This is the first time we did like a back-to-back, like first one and sequel. If people are enjoying that, please let us know. Write into us, thelastropodcast@gmail.com. Let us know on the episodes page on the website, thelastropodcast.com. There you can leave a comment on the page. Leave us a comment on Facebook or the Instagram post. Let us know you guys enjoying this type of thing. Maybe we'll do more like intro, sequel, triple, whatever we want to say, trilogies, and we'll do some back-to-back. But I had fun watching these things, and they definitely didn't disappoint. And you know, I think we should do something like this again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If
you guys are enjoying the show, please consider leaving us an Apple Podcast review or a Spotify review or Podchaser review. As Badway said, we'll try to come up with some goals to hit 100. But definitely thank you to everyone that left one so far. We'll be back in another 2 weeks on Thursday, September 15th, with a new episode for you guys. And well, then, we'll see you in 2 weeks. So do you think that Peter Keyes was studying them? What kind of like other experiments was he doing with these pheromones? Like he's obviously looking at this thing. He knows, he says he wants to use it. Is he gonna use this thing?
Use it, he said.
Is he gonna experiment with it? I mean, the thing's pretty wet.
It's kind of like the whole Jan's Pegler.
Peter Keyes, you're not sick, are you? We don't know what his ultimate